怒、喜、忧、悲、恐. There's 5 kinds of main emotion of humankind. That's energy. It's another description in traditional Chinese medicine. Tongue can reflect the whole body, but mainly, it's a reflection of the function of one's heart. You become the slave of your emotion. That's called nu, angry. First of all, this question regarding Wuxing, Wuqi, Wuqing, Qiqing, right? It's kind of Wuqi and Wuqing are the same, right? And Qiqing added 2 other things. What's the difference? Let me put it that way. The first of all, you want to connect. Make sure you understand that clearly. You want to connect Wuxing, Wuzang with whatever here. That's the basic logic, basic idea from Huangdi Neijing. Okay. There's 2 things saying in Huangdi Neijing, Wuqi and Wuqing, in different places. They named different. One named Wuqi, 5 qi, another 5 Wuqing, 5 emotion. But if you look at the contents itself, it's the same. It's the same. Even though it's the same, in the context, if you know how to read classical Chinese, if you are interested in learning Huangdi Neijing, which is it's not easy for everyday readers if you are not good at reading classical Chinese. But if you read it, there's 2 things in Huangdi Neijing, in different locations, in a different context. 前后文不一样, different. So even though they're using the same character, angry, nu, happy or joy, 喜, shi means thinking or thoughtful. You, 悲, the same 悲, sad, sadness. 恐, scary, frightened. When in Wuqi, it's talking about the qi perspective, because this is a kind of emotion. Nu, xi, you, bei, kong. It's a kind. There's 5 kinds of main emotion of humankind. But when talking about Wuqi, it's from the qi perspective. It could be qi, nu qi. In Chinese, easier. It's nu qi, xi qi. We're using very often in daily life, but rarely or never use, seldom used in daily life. Instead, 湿气, 悲气, and 恐气, but they are kind of qi too, because that's energy. It's a negative energy. That's talking from the qi perspective. All right. When talking about the emotion, that's you can see from the appearance. That's the same thing. 怒喜忧思悲恐. Okay? So Wuqing, Wuqi, they're the same thing, but a different manifestation from different perspectives. If that I think that should make that clear already, right? It's in a different context, different perspective, talking about the same thing. But they're different things. Just like this is 手, when talking about 手, including 手心and 手背. Something 手心 can do, but 手背 cannot do. Something 手背 can do, but 手心 cannot do. Say, for example, you can grab only by 手心 side. You cannot grab, 抓住 things, grab things from your backside. But when you really want to taste the temperature, say your little boy, little girl, your baby, your kid, you have a test. There is a fever. the better way not to touch this way is this way. Because if you are healthy, your palm should be warm. Should be warm. If your palm, if your soul is not warm, it's cold, or it's cool, or it's cold, it's not warm. From perspective of Chinese traditional medicine, you're not healthy. So that means if you want to try to test somebody if they have a fever, you use this side. This is a high temperature. You cannot feel it correctly, but on the back side of your palm, the temperature is lower. So you will touch it, you can feel it. So you touch like this. So different perspective. The same thing, different perspective. Okay, that's Wuqing and Wuqi. I think I made it clear now, right? Okay, Qi that's more used in daily life. 喜怒忧思悲恐惊. But in traditional Chinese medicine, because we look at things in perspective of Wuxing, because of Wuxing related to Wuzang, 5 organs, right? So, Si is lower or lighter type or subtype of you. You think too much, that means you started to worry. If you don't worry, you don't think too much. Or like we said, Liu, You Liu. There's a 2 sides of You and Liu, right? One is expecting something to happen, which will not happen in most cases. One is that you're expecting nothing happen. You are expecting not happening, or you're worried about it's gonna. You're expecting something to happen. That's Liu. So that's why 人无远虑. You want to have a better outcome, better future. You expect that one. Now you're afraid of it's not happening. That's Liu. That's 2 sides. Yang and yin side of worry. If in English, worry, right? So, but lighter format, lighter type is Si. If you think too much, you're either here or either here. Depends which direction you go. The same thing, Jing and Kong. You get frightened. All of a sudden, you get frightened. Could be just one-time thing. Instantly, then it's gone. But it's getting too deep, too hard, too heavy. That's called Kong. This just appears like I explained this character before, right? It's just talking about the horse getting surprised. Then the horse starts running out of control. That's Jing. That's this character described. There's a horse underneath here. Upper part just mainly provide the pronunciation. And it just contribute to the meaning in a way too, but mainly contribute to pronunciation. That's a 形声字, right? But Kong definitely, when get into the heart, that could be a problem. So that's how, no matter Taoist school, a Buddhist school, or even a Confucius school, cultivation, excuse me, or in Western Orthodox religions, all talking about heart or mind. That's the Xin. So anything when it getting to hit the Xin, that's deep. Okay, this one doesn't have, but you have 2 mouths. What happened? What's in your mouth? There's no heart, but heart is inside. Let me explain a little bit to you. Two mouths, there's emphasize. One is outside, one is inside. Outside, the lips actually is a reflection or a manifestation of your pi. If you have a healthy pi, or in a Western medicine kind of a concept, if your digestion system is good, you should have a fairly red color lips, healthy red. If it's too red, it kind of brilliant red. It's like if people look at, if you see your or you see other people's lips are brilliant red of lips, like you have some making up. That's not good either. It's a healthy red, but not that brilliant light, that kind of light. Okay? But inside, you have teeth and you have tongue. Tongue, 舌头, 舌 or 舌头. 舌头 is another description in traditional Chinese medicine. 舌头 is 心之苗, is the tip or the extended part of 心之苗. Oh no, sorry. Should be inside. 心之苗. Tongue can reflect the whole body, but mainly it's a reflection of the function of one's heart. So if you're too happy, overjoyed, that's a problem. It's a reflection, according to a traditional Chinese medicine. If you have no reason, overjoyed, you think that's good, that's actually not good. Anything, any emotion too over expressed, or you cannot control it, that's a problem up here. No is the same thing, right? Okay. So you become become the slave of your emotion. That's called the nu. Angry. Okay, so that's Wuqi, Wuxing, and Wu and Qi. There's another saying, if you're doing the research on internet or even use ChatGPT, and now people use the ChatGPT daily basis. And I encourage you guys to do that. But if you don't use it properly, it gives you a lot of false information, misleading you. If you do that on the internet, because I encountered two different questions from in different classes I'm teaching. They have a Wuqi. Actually, in traditional Chinese medicine, there's a Liuqi. 风寒暑湿燥火, that's 六气. Somebody feed the wrong information to the internet, and internet ChatGPT pick it up and somehow transform it as a 武器, say like related to 风寒暑湿, something like that. That's wrong. That's wrong. Okay. 黄帝内经 or traditional Chinese medicine talking about 五运六气, that's a different thing. Okay, but this 武器是怒喜思悲恐, that's from 黄帝内经. It may written in different sequence. Now why I put it here, because I want to line it up to make it clear for this concept for you guys of traditional Chinese medicine is 木火土金水五行。木火土就是tree, fire, earth, metal, and water. Okay, with this 5 organ, 肝心脾肺肾，木火土金水，木生火，火生土，土生金，金生水。那什么是肝生心，心生脾，脾生肺，肺生肾，肾生肝生的生。Or 克 is the other way around, right? We don't want to go too deep. If you're interested, you can do some of your own research. That's the clarification for Wuxing, Wuzang, Wuqi, Wuqing, Qiqing. There's a lighter form of this, right? So that's how. This is daily life. 七情六欲. Oh, somebody asked 七情六欲, right? Let's do that later next time.